Hi, this is my first response to Table Talk Talkback, episode 898.7% jerk free. First of all, I want to open up before answering the questions. I want to say I just recently returned from Gencon as well, and it was my first one, and overall the experience was great. Everyone there was just really welcoming. I thought it was very cool that no matter what type of gaming you're into, no matter how obscure it might seem, there's someone there who also is into that, and you can find someone to sit down and play a board game with, or miniatures, or whatever it might be. And that said, the experience was excellent. Everyone was really cool, except for the very first day. I ran into this one guy at a Steak and Shake on Thursday morning before the vendor hall opened. His name was like Ryan or Roger. Rodney, that's it. Now that guy was a jerk. He falls in that other 1.3% here that we talk about. No, I'm just kidding. I did happen to run into Rodney, and he was one of the first 3 people actually I talked to since arriving and picking up my pass and everything. And Rodney, I just have to say that you are extremely genuine, even more so than I imagined from watching your show, and I appreciate you taking the time to say hi and talk about board games for a little bit. So that was just really cool, and it was a great way to kick off Gen Con this year. So, alright, to answer the questions, number 1 is, I often hear the gaming community is great because of the people. Why do you think this is? I think maybe we'll talk more about personality, I guess, in your second question, but I know when I bring a board game, whether it's to maybe some social event, or whether it's to my local gaming store or over to a friend's house, when I bring a board game, it's usually for 2 to 5 players or so, and I'm bringing that game to share. I've already purchased the game, I've already read the rules, I've already gone through everything, and all you have to do is show up, and I'll explain it to you. Maybe in some cases, depending on the game, it might be helpful to do a little rule primer before we meet, but you don't have to purchase anything. There's not a whole lot. I brought this to share with you, to play. We're going to have this experience, which I find is a lot different than, say, collectible card games or Warhammer, miniatures and that sort of thing, where I've built my army, I know how it works really well, and I'm fighting against you, which I see there's a distinction there, to where, when I'm bringing something like, this is a show, or a game that Rodney talked about, Super Dungeon Explorer, and thank you so much. Answered several questions on that game for me. But when I'm bringing a game with me that, even if in that one I'm playing the bad guy, I'm still, wanting everyone to have a good time. So I think that's different in, say, like other types of gaming. And so the second question was, what makes our community friendly? And does it come in part from being excluded? I know everyone's had different experiences, and everyone's been excluded to some degree or another. When I was younger, I used to have a really bad overbite until probably about my early years of middle school. Actually, I had braces earlier than most. But I definitely was given a hard time by some of the more, popular kids, or the bullied kids, usually was the case. But, for having a bad overbite, they called me bucktooth beaver and that sort of thing. And certainly that wasn't fun. So I know going through that, especially in grade school, I was always kind of inclusive of some of the other students who were kind of quiet or socially awkward. I always enjoyed talking to them and getting them out of their shells, and most of the time I found out they were more interesting than some of the more popular kids. So that's true, and I even see that, I guess maybe that's carried over now into being an adult, and including people into board games and that sort of thing. So as long as you're not a jerk, you have a spot at my table. So and then I think, and this is probably going off topic a little bit, but maybe it would be a discussion for another table talk, is that for me, that being excluded, even though at a young age I wasn't really into board gaming necessarily, but it led me into other parts of geek culture, as far as like I really enjoyed science, and then once I started to discover science fiction, I think that really piqued my interest, as far as seeing that, hey, there's something else besides this, and you start to imagine different realities and different worlds and different scenarios that are different than the ones that you live in. So it becomes an escape almost. So it's cool. Let's see, I think there were some other things I wanted to talk about here. Oh, this is also funny. So talking about being excluded, even now, I'm not bullied necessarily, but being misunderstood might still be pretty prevalent within our community. Even when I was telling, family, friends, and coworkers that I was going to Gencon, and that it was the largest gaming convention in the United States, and I guess now by recent numbers, actually larger than Essen. So I was telling them I was going to this board gaming convention. Their response was, "Oh, like chess?" To which I responded, "Yes, like chess. Only more modern games." And I think that was the easiest way to explain it at the time, because they're not really gamers, especially when you're talking to your grandparents. And I would say there's no matter what type of gaming you're into, you can find someone to play. So even if you do like chess, I'm sure, somewhere at Gen Con someone played chess. So it was there, even though most of the titles were more recent. Oh, and then the other response was, if it wasn't, "Are you going to play games like chess?" or "What are you dressing up as?" To which I responded, "I'm going to dress comfortably and as myself, as I am now, because, I wanted to come and game." But the cosplay people were certainly interesting, to say the least. This was my first video, so hopefully it won't be my last, and I'll try to clean it up and be a little more cohesive next time. Thank you so much for your time, and keep making these great videos, Rodney. I appreciate it.